Hi all, welcome back to Node.js tutorial course. I hope you all have watched my previous sessions which actually explains about different concepts of Node.js and its live coding scenarios and examples. Okay, if not, I have given the links in the description box. You can go ahead and watch the same. Today I'm here to explain you all about Node.js modules and its different types of modules and how to use it, right? And also we'll be showing some of the live examples on the usage of modules, like how to create a simple modules, how to import it or use it in a real scenario. Okay, so let's start with the what is this module about, right, in Node.js. So it is a simple and it could be a complex functionality, right? So module can be a simple one or it could be a complex one, and which can be organized in a single or multiple JavaScript files. Okay, and it need not to be a single JS file. It can be a multiple JS files, or it's a combination of anything. Correct. So that is the modules is about. Okay, and the next major concept is it's reusable. So you have a module, and what you can do is you can use that or reuse that in throughout your Node.js application, or you can import that modules into your other Node.js applications. Basically, the reusability is the main concept of modules. Okay, so here each module, right, has its own context. So it cannot interfere with other modules, or it cannot populate or pollute on this global scope. Okay, so each module can be placed in a separate JS file, or it can be placed under separate folder for our organizing purpose. Okay, and so here we have this concept of CommonJS, where it's a group. Okay, it's a group of people who actually defines this JavaScript standards or Node.js standards for different types of applications like web server, desktop, or console application. So we usually can just be a volunteer there, and we can also contribute certain modules in that group. Okay, so that's the introduction of what is this modules about and how it will help us, right? The main thing is it is simple or it can be a complex functionality, and it can be it is a main thing is it's reusable, right? And it has a common JS group where we can also be a part of it and do a volunteer contribution for this modules. Okay, now let me explain you guys about what are the different types of modules we have. Okay, so there are basically three types of modules. One is core modules. Okay, core modules is nothing which is actually your inbuilt modules which is provided by the Node.js itself, right? And we can use those modules directly in our code by using a simple require functionality. Okay, and then you can use all the methods or the properties associated with that module. That is about the core modules. The next one is local modules. So local modules is something that uh, uh, these are something that which we create within our application, and we can export it and can import it into our same application, or it could be a different Node.js applications. Okay, that is the local module, and I'll show you guys how we can create a simple module and use and export and import it. Okay, the next one is third party modules. This is something who this will be the third, like volunteers of that Node.js community or a group, right, who will be just creating these modules and then publishing, and we can use that modules within our code the same export and sorry import functionality or the required functionality. Now we can use those modules uh, in our code. So these are the three different types of modules we have. Okay, Let me explain first what is this core module. So even though I gave a brief details about core modules, let me go in depth and help you guys understand what is this modules about the core modules, right? So it has a very lightweight framework. Okay, as you guys know, Node.js the lightweight framework, right? And it has this core module which is an inbuilt modules which has the very minimum functionalities required for the Node.js. Okay, and it actually basically these core modules are compiled into its binary format, okay, or a distribution. So what happens is it load automatically when Node.js process starts, right? So you don't have to implicitly install or something, just loads automatically when your Node.js process starts. Okay, and the as I told you in the previous slide, the importing of this module is very much important, because without importing you cannot use it. Even though um, that particular modules will be automatically available to access it, you need to import into your application to use the functionality of those Node.js module. Okay, so and some of the core modules which I'll just quickly show you guys here is what is HTTP module. So this is basically we use it to create a Node.js HTTP server, right? And it will have its own methods and events and things. Okay, and we have URL module. So this URL module is basically used to parse the URL and to get the parameters like query parameters, headers, etc. And we have a query string module which we can deal with the query string attributes and values. We have a path module. Path modules basically we can deal with the file locations of the paths and play around with it. And we have FS modules. FS module basically is a file system module. We use it for read, write, or to perform some input output operations with the file. And we have a util module, and this includes basic utility functions which is useful for our developers. Okay, so these are the some of the core modules. So there are a lot many modules which are the core modules in the Node.js. Okay, so this is about the core modules. And next, let's see in a live coding session like how we can load this core modules and use it in our development. Okay. Okay, so let's see now how we can load the core modules. Okay, so in order to use our core modules in Node.js, right? First, we need to import it using a require function. Okay, so it does. So let me just create a file called load core modules dot js. Okay, so this is the basic syntax we have to use to um, import any of the module. Okay, so this will be like where we are just declaring a variable, a module name, okay, whatever you want to give. Then followed with require is a function which is actually used to import any of the modules. Okay, so we just give within single quote and then the module underscore name. Okay, so this is how the basic syntax to import any of the core or local modules. Okay, so so here what happens is when you use this require method or a function, right, will actually return an object, or it could be a function, or it could be a property, depending on what the specified module returns. So
In case if that module returns an function, then the output or the response or the output of this require will be a function. If that module is going to send some property, then the output will be a property. Okay, depends upon what how that module has been built and what is the export functionality of that module. Okay, let's see now how to use a simple HTTP module, which I have explained in the previous slide, which is used to create a web server. Okay, let's try to create a simple HTTP server. Okay, so for that let's create HTTP equal to require. Basically this is used to import the module. So the HTTP is a module name for this uh, eh, module. Okay, now now we have this HTTP right here. If you see this require HTTP function, HTTP require will be returning an object, because this HTTP module return its functionality as an object. Then we can use its properties and method using some of the dot notation. So here this HTTP will be giving as an object. Okay, now let's see how we can use this HTTP and create a server. So let me declare another variable called server. Okay, then I'll do HTTP dot. Okay, so using this dot you guys can see that these many properties, objects, functions are available within this HTTP object, and we can access that and we can proceed with creating a server. So you can see here create server is there. We'll just click on create server, then followed with function and request and response. Okay, then we can write console.log server is created. Okay, and now we have the server created. Now let's listen to this server. Okay, in some port, so I'll just put 3400 port, and this is how we import a HTTP model, and using that HTTP module to create a server and access the relevant properties which we need. Okay, if you want I can just let me just run this and see what is the response it gives. Okay, so this server has been started. Okay, so let me actually go and see the server. Okay, 3400, and you guys can see the time I hit it was 3400, my server is created, the response has come up. Okay, so this is how we have created, since we haven't created any endpoint as such, that is why there won't be any response coming up here. But you guys can see that this particular server is listening, and the time we have hit this port, it gives the server is created response. Okay, this is about how we can load the code modules and use it in our Node.js development. Now let's see what are these local modules. Okay, so as the name says, right, so the local modules are basically created locally in our Node.js application. Okay, so these include different functionality of your application, and it can be organized in a separate files or separate folders, right? And you can also package this, and we can also distribute it via npm node package manager. Okay, so that what happens is Node.js community or any other users who is actually interested in that module, they can export or import and export it for their application. Okay, for example, if you want to connect to MongoDB and fetch data, then you create a module, and that module you can use it in a multiple Node.js applications. It need not to be in your single Node.js application, right? So you can go ahead and use it in your multiple Node.js application. As the reusability comes into the picture even in local modules. So let's now see how we can create a simple local module in a live coding session. So here, let me walk you guys through on creating a simple module. Basically, I'm going to create a simple logging module which logs information, warning, or error to the console. Okay. So here, basically, when we create a module, right, we can just place it in as a separate JavaScript file, or you can structure it in a separate folder as well. Okay. So let me create here a file called logger.js. Okay, and here I'm going to create a like a variable called logger. Okay, and then what I'm going to create is inside this object I'm going to create three functions, that is information, warning, and error. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that. So the logger is an object. Inside that I'm going to create a function called information with info. Okay, and here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to print whatever the info is has been passed to this function. I'm just going to print those information. Okay, information provided is, and then I'm going to show as info. Okay, and next I'm going to create a function called warning. Okay, and here again I'll be creating a function with one warning, and here same way I'm just going to print my warning. Warning is, and then just going to print the warning message. Okay, and next I'm going to create another function called error, and I'm just going to give another function called error followed with console.log of error is, then we just give as error. Okay, so this is the simple logging or logger object which has three functions: information, warning, and error. Okay, now okay, we are ready with this object. So as I told you, we need to actually export this. So without exporting this object as a module, you cannot access it in other applications, right? So let me export it. So module dot exports equal to, what is that I have to export? It's logger. Okay, so this is the simple example of creating a module, a simple module called logger. And here module export is a special object which is actually included in all the JS file in the Node.js application. And we can export either functions, or it can be a variable, or it can be an object as a module in Node.js. Okay, So in the previous live coding session, we have seen how to create a simple logger module and with the three different functions, information, warning, and error, and how we can export it, right? So in this particular live coding session, I'm going to show you guys how we can load that module into a Node.js application. Okay, so let me create a file called my app.js. Okay, and from here, from this my app.js, I am going to import the module, that is logger.js, into my uh, file. Okay, so as you know, we need to use a required function to import those modules. So let me do my logger functions equal to then require of, then we'll place this, and what I'll do is, and we have logger.js. Okay, so this is how we have to import the local module which we have created in our application. So let's see how we can use this in our code. Okay, so we have logger function dot, right? So you guys can see we have three functions: error, information, and warning. Correct. So what we will do is we'll just give it as an information, and let's pass some informations like my information is in function information is called. Okay, and let's see how does this work. Okay, let me start this my app.js, and you guys can see information provided is function information is called, right? So here information provided is, and whatever the data we pass, it just goes and uh, respond there. Okay, this is how the simple way of importing the simple modules and use it in your code. Same way we can also use logger function dot warning, and then we can say warning details. Then same way we can also pass error, and then we can see error details. Okay, so if we run this, you guys can see warning is warning details, error is error details. So this is what the data we pass, and it gets captured there, and we can use it, right? This will be very helpful when we have a larger project and to keep the things in modular and the reusable manner.
So in the previous slides, you guys have understood about basic requirement or the usage of our export modules, right? So in this slide, I'm going to explain in detail what are these export and what are the different types of exports we can perform, right? Okay, so here, as I told, it's a special object which needs to be included in every JavaScript uh, file, okay, or it could be any Node.js application by default. Okay, so this is actually a variable that represents the current module. Okay, and here what happens is it can be exported. So module is nothing but it represents a variable that represents the current module, and exports is an object that will be exposed as a module. So we have this module dot export, correct? So in that module is nothing but a variable, and export is nothing but an object that is going to be exposed outside. Okay, and here we have as we know, we have different types, different ways to export the modules. It could be a export literals, right? We can export objects,
Then we have export functions, and also we have export functions as class. Okay, so these are the different ways of exporting a modules. Okay, and now let me walk you guys through on different types of export functionality and in a live coding session. Okay, now let us see how we can export a literal or a whatever we pass as a string, literal, or it could be anything, right? How we can pass or export that and use it in our Node.js application. Okay, so let me just create a file called export types.js. Okay, and here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to export directly the string literal. Okay, my sorry, Node.js tutorial. Okay, and here I have exported it, and let me just go to my app.js and let me try to require this export types.js and see how we can access that literal. Okay, so we can put like export types equal to require of, and we can put export types. Okay, and let's put a console dot log of exported literal is. Then we can just place export types. Okay, so let me just remove or comment this off. Okay, okay, and let's run this and see how does it look. Oh, sorry, I just commented this too. Let me remove this. Okay, let's clear this off and rerun it again. And you guys can see exported literal is my Node.js tutorial, right? So this has been exported and we're able to access it here. Okay, this is how we are going to export the literals and import it in our Node.js application. So let's now see how we can export an object. Okay, so let me just comment this off for now. Okay, and we'll see how we can export an object. Okay, so here let's write exports dot and then message node message equal to Node.js tutorial. Okay, and here we have exported this node message object. Here this is one way. Okay, we can also export the same way as module dot exports dot node message is equal to Node.js tutorial. Okay, here these are the two difference. Either you can use exports dot this node message, or you can use module dot exports dot node message. Okay, so let me just comment this. This is an alternate way of alternate of using module export. Okay, and this is the export literals. Okay, so we have exported this object, and let's see how we can use it. So already we have imported the export types. Okay, let's comment this out and let's do a console log on this exported object and we'll see how does it work. Exported object value is, then we can give export types dot node message. Okay, so let's write, you guys can see exported object values Node.js tutorial. Okay, so this is how we export an object and use it in our Node.js application. Okay, and also we also have we can also expose an object with the function. Okay, so let's see how we can expose with the function. Okay, this we have seen in the previous slide. I'll just repeat it again with the one more example. Okay, let me just comment this out and just put a comment stating export objects. Okay, let's now see module dot export. Okay, export dot logger equal to function of, and what is the log message. Okay, and then we can just put console dot log of, sorry, we can just give log message. Okay, so this what we're doing is we are exporting the object as a function. Okay, and let's now see how we can use this in our example. Okay, so let me comment this out again and we'll just try to use that exported object as a function and we'll see how does that work. Okay, so export types dot, and we have logger. Okay, and then we can give some Node.js tutorial. Okay, so let's run and see. Okay, you guys can see this has called this logger function and it has displayed the message Node.js tutorial. Okay, so here in this object, right, we can also, like how we saw, we can export as an object, we can export object as a function, and we can also attach an object directly when we do an export. Let's see how we can do that. Okay, so this one also, let me comment it out. Okay, uh, and let's see how we can export an object again. Okay, module dot exports equal to, this is an object again, so let me give first name and I'll give tech, and last name I'll give stack. Okay, so what we are doing is we are exporting directly an object. Okay, and we'll see how we can use that in our uh, how we can use that in our application. Okay, so we already have this export types imported, so let's go ahead and log off and we'll just directly export types dot first name plus, and we can just give some space. Okay, and then we'll give export types dot last name. Okay, so let's run this again and see what is it. So printed text stack, so we have exported as an object and then we can access directly those exported object items and we can show the data. Okay, this is about how we are going to export an object as a function, as an object itself, and directly as a string. Okay, So now let's see how we can export a function, or it could be an anonymous function as an export object. Okay, so let's see module dot exports equal to, and then we can directly assign a function with some random message variable, and then we can just print those message. Okay, so here what we're doing is we are just creating an anonymous function, and the whatever the message it receives, it's going to do a console log. Okay, and let's see how we can use that in our my app.js or my node.js applications. We have already imported this variable, and now let's try to call that with some message. Okay, because this export it has been exported as a function, so it will act like a function, and we just give hello world. Okay, and let's see how that works. As you can see, this has executed and it called that function, and it gave the responses as hello world. Okay, now let's see how we can export function as a class. So in JavaScript, a function can be treated like a class, right? So let's create that simple export with the function as a class. Okay, so we will write module dot exports. Okay, and we just give function with some parameters like name, first name, and last name. Okay, and again here what we're going to do is this dot first, this dot if name equal to if name. Okay, then what we will do is this dot name equal to name. Okay, and what we are going to do is we are going to form the full name equal to function of, then we are going to return this dot f name plus with some space plus, and then with this dot last name. Okay, so this is basically this function will fetch or get first name and last name, and it will convert that into a full name, and then it will return over there. Okay, so let's see how we can use it in our Node.js application. Already the module is import. Okay, now let's try to create a object. Okay, so what we will do is var user details, okay, equal to new export types of, then I'll give tech, and then I'm going to give stack. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to print the full name of this. Okay, so console dot log of user full name is, and then what I'm going to do is user details dot full name. Okay, and so this is going to call that full name function within that class. Okay, let's print and see. As you can see, user full name is tech stack. So basically what we did is we exported a function as a class, okay, with two fields, and then we have this function, and what we did is we just created a object of the exported types with tech and stack as first and last name, and then what we did is we called this full name function to create a full name of the user, and the response is tech stack. Okay,
So, as you guys saw in the previous slides or the coding session, right? So, what we did is we have created a module
in a same directory, and we have tried to import it, right? So now in this slide, or the next live coding session, I'm going to show you guys how we can load the modules from the separate folders. Okay. Okay, now let's see. Now you can see here the export type is in the same directory and we have directly used it. Correct. So now let's try to put this export types into a folder, and we'll try to see how we can access that in our Node.js application. Okay. So I'll just give utils. Okay. And I'm just going to drag this into the util folder. Okay. I'm just going to move this into util folder, and you guys can see Visual Studio Code is little smart enough, and it just asks you should you update the imports of export type.js. So if you want, you can, otherwise you can also skip. Okay, so for now I'm just going to skip this, and let me go to this my app.js, and you guys can see it's showing still the same thing. Okay, and if I just run this, it will throw an error because it's not finding that module in this directory. To fix this, what we have to do is we have to call this utils and then followed with this export type. Okay, and now let's try to access. Let's clear this and let's try to run. So you guys can see this has been accessed and we are getting the response. Okay, this is how we can segregate our module into a separate folders and access it in our Node.js application. Okay, so now we are in the end of the session, and I hope you all have a good idea about Node.js modules, the different types of modules we have, and how to use it, how to import it, and how to create a local modules, and with the live coding examples. Okay, in the next session, I'll be explaining about NPM and its different features available, and again with the live coding examples. Thank you for watching, guys. If you like my session, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. See you in next session. Thank you.